Well, blessed morning, Prince folks. Today is October 11, 2022. Start of my new work week because I took off yesterday, as I always do, for Columbus was Lost Day, Indigenous Day. I never work on that day. Put it back on the tack here Tuesday. So what we have here, we have "Patience is your martyrdom," a quote from Gregory the Great. And this one is entitled "Your Vindication." And the scripture for today is Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is a heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares the Lord. In word. A cold hard truth in this fallen world is that those who side with God will share his enemies. They are numerous and they can be vicious. They often have little regard for truth and a great capacity for scheming. David found it to be so with Saul. The prophets discovered it with their prophetic rivals. Jesus experienced it with Romans and Jewish leaders, and Paul heard it from other preachers and churches. Wherever God does a great work, either in your heart or in your world, it will be greatly opposed. Those who are his servants will face the opposition firsthand. The key to victory in such a situation is not in retaliation or rebuttal. It is in calm faith and patience. None of the above examples went on the attack. We who claim God as our defender must not take up our own defense. We must stand firm, and that means we must sometimes speak out. But we can never challenge ungodly attacks with like responses. And those who trust God have no need to do so anyway. He gives us his promise. He will protect us. No weapon will prevail. No accusation will stick, at least not in the long run. God has a way of vindicating his servants that is bountiful in the end. The aggressors fade into oblivion. The righteous remain in his glory. Have you been under attack? It may be the overt work of oppressive people, or it may be the subtle work of devious spirits. Either way, your response is to be godly. God has allowed the attack perhaps to strengthen you, to teach you godly warfare, or to instill faithful patience. So be faithful and be patient. The deeper your trouble, the more satisfying your vindication is, in the end. But the vindication can only come from God. When we try to work it out with ourselves, it loses its savor. Let your accusers murmur. The promise of God will be forever fulfilled in its time. It's pretty good stuff. I would basically get "do not pay back evil for evil" from all of this. Vindication, I don't exactly remember the definition of that word, but it's like being delivered from, having victory. That's what I get from that word. To be calm and patient. This reminds me of like when somebody says something really stupid, something you don't agree with, and your mind is like, I want to say this, but for some reason you don't. You just, even though it's a fight of the flesh and the spirit, if you're quiet, I believe that it's the Lord's Spirit being quiet, because a person who said that will end up, somebody else may say something to them to correct them, or something will happen to humble that person that said something foolish. And then it's like, I'm glad I kept my mouth shut. That is what I get out of this. Good stuff. And no weapon formed against you will prosper, but every weapon formed against the devil will. I said that a couple years ago. The great thing I like about the word is reverse it. When it talks about evil, reverse it. Like there's a verse that says, no weapon formed against you will prosper, but every weapon formed against the devil will. Love will always destroy hate. Faith will always envelope doubt. Hope will always envelope doubt. Faith will, and it goes on and on and on. There's always a countermeasure to iniquity, to the Lord's righteousness. And the Lord's righteousness is always going to triumph. And it's going to vindicate you in your heart, mind, soul, and strength. So you keep on keeping on. I'm always saying, aspire to his purity and silver and gold. The Lord tests the heart. The more that you put in the adversity, right in the middle of the storm, the more, Lord, that you put in you, the more you're just going to keep coming out to pass the test of time, to pass the test and tab it over your heart where the Lord is in the first place, because your heart is his temple. So be led right by his light that darkness cannot comprehend today. Be blessed in your iron journey today.